Welcome to the short session about International VELUX Award. I introduce myself, Tina Christensen, lead architect, in VELUX, having the privilege of running this program or running this competition. I will give you a short introduction to the facts about the competition, and then I will be followed by Professor Per Olof Fjeld that will speak around the competition. And then we will have one introduction from the winners of the 2022 competition, where the Polish winners or the winners from Poland are stuck in the airport, so they will make their presentation tomorrow. I have no slideshows except for this, because this is what it is all about. It's about the people, it's about the students, it's about the winners. The first International VELUX Award was launched 20 years ago. From the beginning we did it in a close partnership with UIA. The competition is global, following the regions that are pointed out by UIA. And we 5 winners from all 5 regions and invite them to the last jury meeting. During the years, we have had close to 7,000 submissions from all over the world. More than 800 schools have participated. We call the theme of the competition the Light of Tomorrow. There is only one theme, and that's by purpose. We want to have it very open, and we also want to have it very inclusive. It's important for us that we are not telling schools what to do, but we are learning from schools, and we want this competition to dig into whatever the schools out there are working with at this time. We have 2 categories: daylight investigations and daylight in buildings. And as I said, we give schools the freedom to approach the topic in their own way. More info about the time and the timeline of the next International VELUX Award 2024, you will get that at the end of this session. As I said, I have asked Per Olof to enrich us with some words, because Per Olof Fjeld is an architect. He is Professor Emeritus at the Oslo School of Architecture and Design, where he taught for many years, and where he also was a rector for 2 decades. Furthermore, he served as the president of the European Association of Architectural Education, the organization that we are partnering up with, both with our competition and with other things we are doing. Besides having daylight in his heart, he is an amazing promoter of daylight in architecture and teaching, which you can experience in our daylight in teaching programs, which you can experience in our latest daylight talk. But what is most important is, in this context, is that he is actually the catalyst for International VELUX Award. 20 years ago, when my colleagues from VELUX, they wanted to have a dialogue with the architect schools, with the Oslo School of Architecture, they need to come up with a very good reason to get that dialogue, according to Per Olof. So they have to invent this competition. Per Olof's history with International VELUX Award is much longer than mine. He has been a jury member. He has had students winning the competition. So therefore, I asked Per Olof if he would tell you about International VELUX Award. Per Olof, please welcome him.
Good afternoon, students and colleagues. Allow me to share a couple of thoughts with you concerning the competition. There are certainly many signs that we will face some complex changes in the near future. Even an events that will change our lives and ways of living, both as individuals and societies. And unfortunately, there is no real escape. These challenges then, whether it's climatic, environmental, population or social, plus how we confront these challenges, are not going to be a one-size-fits-all solutions. Architecture, however, will play a vital role within this transformation. But it will need to address differences with more precision. Thus, the breadth and the type of education for future students in architecture will be a major issue. But are our institution and the profession ready to embrace the challenge? I think it's a question. It is essential that we foster students' creativity towards understanding the numerous changes we are about to face, not merely as knowledge, design, or a technical quick fix, but within a more holistic and place-oriented approach. We cannot know with certainty what a young architect today will need of competences 20 years from now. However, one obvious challenge is already here. The relationship between human intervention in this architecture and Earth's nature. It's nothing more to think about, really. It's here. What then is a true balance of coexistence between the two? And do we understand the new types of social constructs that will be part of this transformation process? Huge question. In relation to these remarks, I'm convinced that the use of daylight would play a vital role in this transformation. And as such, our conceptual awareness of daylight in all work should directly impact the way we teach. Daylight, in a sense, is a very generous material, free and available to all. And architecture does not really exist to its full potential without a meticulous and innovative use of daylight. Thus, future curriculum cannot afford to assume that this precision in the use of this unique material will evolve on its own. Yes, calculation and technical gadgets will address some issues. But without a direct focus upon the physical space itself, where natural light and shadow are key players, we will be in a constant flux of small, short-term improvements. And I think we have seen a lot of them already. Daylight is not an added element. It is embedded in the physical space itself. For this reason, I find the VELUX Daylight Architecture Competition so important. The focus has always been so direct, so clear, and it's not locked, but open. With architecture students from all over the world, their numerous social, cultural attitudes and beliefs will hopefully play out within the framework of the competition. And in this, daylight will play an essential role in each of the submitted projects. This conceptual plurality is very important. It's a barometer, a forecast of what the new generation of architects will focus upon and in what direction. What will then the student discover? And in what manner will they present their discoveries? Very exciting. In what manner will they present their discoveries? Will these projects reach a deeper awareness of future challenges, investigates and perspectives, and in general rethink the importance of natural light in architecture? The student's voice is greatly needed for both teachers and also the profession. And it's not just the winner, but the competition entries as a whole, a bounty of multicultural work. That is a key of value. However, the student that wins will experience an important moment in their career, and it is a very powerful prize. Personally, I believe that each entry should be as experimental as possible. Or to say it in another way, that each work should be part of an architectural search. In this, of course, is layered a strong responsibility to not simply present architecture as an interest and with a familiar image, but rather to grasp the core of the competition, daylight. Come then with your intuitive thoughts, creative depth, and a will to push your discoveries forward. As a student then, you have to prepare yourself to take that chance and not only rely on established perspective. So let your intuitive thoughts touch your creative process and come into contact with your passion. Students from all over the world, allow your different ideas and experience flourish within the framework of the competition. A focus on daylight in architecture, the light of tomorrow. Good luck to all participants, and thank you, VELUX. Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you. Can I talk now? Yeah, I can. And as Per-Olof promotes, now we will give the word to the students. We have invited 2 winners that are close to us traveling. But we have invited both of these 2 teams are dealing with outdated or outlived building stock, a very relevant theme nowadays. The participants from Poland, Susanna and Alexandra, will come and give you a presentation tomorrow or the day after. As I said, they are stuck in the airport. But we have invited also Jan Grøndal, that is the regional winner in daylight investigation in region Western Europe. We have invited him from Finland and to come and make a presentation of his project. The project proposes an unusual solution to the repurposing of retired gas holders. He is working with the mediums of daylight and sound. Solar Hypnal transforms these discussed structures into future memorials of the fossil fuel past. Incoming sunlight hits sonorous material to create sound waves and omits different tones as the light hits collectors at specific times of day. The jury felt that this project really addressed the idea of light of tomorrow in a rather groundbreaking way, in that it takes something that is primarily visual and makes it into an oral experience. Please welcome Jan Grøndal.
Hey, I'm Jan Gröndal, and thanks for inviting me here. Uh, I study in Helsinki, and I'm towards the end of my architecture studies. And last year, ended up participating in the daylight investigations competition. I found the kind of open-ended structure of the investigations competition really inspiring, as for a long time, we've had these structures quite close to the center of Helsinki that have always kind of caught my imagination. But at the moment, they're still without a permanent use. They mostly just kind of haunt next to new condo development and serve as a backdrop to various kind of creative activities. So these kind of remnants of gas holders can be found all over Europe. Solar Hymnal proposes to transform these structures into a type of temporal device, reflecting on our collective fossil fuel past and the transformations required to go forward. Under changing sun conditions, the installation begins to create an ever-shifting chordal tone as the white curtains form a beacon-like collage of reflected light, diffuse glow, and shadow. The proposed intervention requires minimal alteration to the existing structure. It would be treated with like a rust encapsulating paint, and the sound-producing elements would be suspended with lightweight, lattice-like structures. So the actual sound-producing element adapts technology from a mechanical sculpture, an artwork by Arno Jacobs titled Heliophone. It uses a phenomena first discovered in the 19th century by Graham Bell, which he called the photoacoustic effect, using light to produce sound without electronic amplification. Sunlight is focused with a parabolic reflector onto this small element, which has a rotating perforated disc, so it kind of splits up the incoming light into discrete pulses, and these pulses hit the light absorbent material, which begins to expand, contract, and creating sound. When you adjust the rate of this disc, you can produce different sound frequencies, essentially allowing you to kind of tune the element to a specific tone. Then a large mechanical horn amplifies the sound. The design uses 9 of these elements, each attuned to our kind of scale, an octave, positioned at a unique orientation to maximize solar capture at specific moments in time. Due to the nature of the actual collector and the way the sun kind of gradually lines up, it will slowly begin to kind of emit a stronger tone at different times of day, and different collectors will begin to overlap with each other during the day, forming this kind of chordal progression that just ever so slowly changes as the sun moves. And as the sun's angle of incidence changes day to day, throughout the year, throughout the seasons, the exact progression will change throughout the year. It never quite repeats. You can imagine standing within this looming and kind of fragile structure on an overcast day. It's completely quiet. And suddenly you feel a splash of warmth on your skin as the sun begins to peek through the clouds. You begin to get the strange sensation that the light on your skin is beginning to reverberate, as if the air around you is resonating from the sudden influx of light. You become enveloped in a soft, gentle drone, like a distant horn coming from above. Then the tone flutters, fades for a moment, as wisps of cloud pass overhead. You begin to sense, quite intimately, the materiality of this ever-changing sky canopy above us, how it filters and sculpts sunlight. If you stand long enough, you realize the tone is in constant motion, slowly shifting. Appropriating these sites of past industrial transformation into kind of these instruments of light and sound to reveal kind of movements way beyond our scale, but creating an experience that's almost haptic, begins to kind of play with notions of memory, notions of change, yet an idea of a continuity behind it all. Sound is such a significant part of how we experience and perceive places, the atmosphere of spaces, that the synesthesia-like experience in Solar Hymnal offers a very kind of unique type of experience, the type of space that's somehow beyond your daily expectations, what you'd expect to perceive. And I believe that is conducive to reflection, that allows for a fresh look at the reality around you. So that was the proposal. And it really was actually a very special week that we spent together in Lisbon, meeting my peers from studying in completely different contexts, yet kind of finding out that there are these very similar underlying things that we're pursuing, even if the concrete details of what we're dealing with are different. But what mostly I was left with after that week was the importance of communication. As we know, for any architecture to happen, you do need to convince someone else to go on this kind of journey with you. And that's, yeah. We had kind of feedback from professionals who build and other types of professionals where I learned a lot about what I need to actually work with in communication, and I really appreciate the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, for a very beautiful presentation. You could almost feel being out there. And a presentation of a very interesting project. I admire you that you can give this slow, long introduction to your project, even though so much is happening around you. You did the same at the World Architecture Festival. Time like stopped when you talked about your project. So you are good in communication. I will change this one, and now I will end. Because today, now, we are launching International VELUX Award 2024. We have this one that you can take. Please do. The registration opens in September. How you do it and what you do, you can all find out on our website. All the information is on this card. You can pass by. We have a Daylight and Architecture stand that has a running video showing the 10 winners. And there you can find a book, Daylight Matters, about the work we are doing for students of architecture and architects. So please pass by and grab a book, and we will be there to answer any of your questions. That's on time, or should I ask for questions now? No, thank you.